Hello, everyone. I'm sorry about that. Something happened. I was disconnected, but I'm gonna continue going on. It just did. I don't know. I had poor connection or something like that. But I'm going to continue on with where I was. Yes, I do apologize for that. I had a poor connection. But I'm back on now. But like I was saying, please forgive me about that. We had a poor connection. Yes, Psalms 119, 111 says, "The words have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee." The word is our lifeline, and it gives us life, hope, joy, and peace. The word gives us direction for life. The word has to become our daily bread, so much so that when situations arise in our lives, because the word lives in us, the word will come out of us. When the enemy tells us that we can't, Philippians 4:13 kicks in and says, "I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength." We have to have the word deep down in the citadel of our soul, because it's the word that delivers us. It's the word that saves us. It's the word that gives us hope, joy, and peace. It's the word that will sustain us even when we're going through some of the worst times in our life. It's the word that will bring us out. One of the first things we must do is we have to be willing to change. God can heal us from the inside out, but we must be willing to change and remain changed. We can't just keep going back to the person we used to be at the drop of a hat. When we have an encounter with God, our lives should change for the better. There should be daily growth. In Acts 10, Saul had an encounter with God, and his life was forever changed, and he was never the same. Once we allow God to pull back the layers, allow him to knock down the walls we have built up, he can get to the root of our problems and issues, and healing can begin. God can change anyone who is willing to change. The question is, are you willing to change? Are you willing to do what needs to be done for your life to change? Will you take the necessary steps to change? Will you allow God? Will you change from your wicked ways? We have to be willing to allow God to get in us, to move through us, to help us to move to a better person. The next thing we must do is take our daily spiritual medication. Our daily spiritual medication. Studying God's word, prayer, and praise and worship must be done on a daily basis. We must have daily communication with God. We must spend quality time with God. God needs one-on-one time with us. It's just some things that God has to do. It's just some deposit that God has to make, that it can only be between you and him. Everyone has to have a personal and private relationship with God. You can't make it without a personal and a private relationship with God, because there's some things that he will deposit in you that it just has to be him and you. He doesn't need any outside interference. He doesn't need anybody else trying to step in and say A, B, C, or D. God needs one-on-one time with you so that he can do what he needs to do. Sometimes you just need to hear from God. You don't always need a prophet to tell you. You don't always need a preacher to tell you. You don't always need anybody to just speak into your life. Sometimes you just need to hear directly from God. Directly from the source. Will you listen? God is speaking. Will you listen? Have you ignored what he's been saying to you? Are you facing some of the issues that you're facing now because you didn't listen to him? Are you being hard-headed? Let me tell you something. I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. I knew from a young man from a long time ago, when I was young, I had to be about 10 years old, that I had a calling on my life. But I ran from it. I wasn't listening. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I did. I didn't want to listen. You have to listen to God. You have to hear his voice clearly. And if you're not hearing his voice clearly, you have to ask him, God, I need to hear from you. I need a word from you. I need you to seep all up in me. Because there's nothing like hearing the voice of God. It's distinct. You'll never have to question if it's him or not because you'll know it's him. But you have to be willing to hear the word of God, to hear the voice of God. It's at those intimate moments that God can give you clear direction for your life. Intimacy with God. You have to have intimacy with God. You have to be willing to have that time with God. Not only that, and I'm almost finished, you have to have appointed time with God. We must have an appointed set time where we meet with God each and every day. Appointed time means we might have to give up. We might have to get up early. We might have to stay up a little later. We might have to cut out our TV time, our social media time. Whatever we have to do to make sure we have appointed time to spend with God. This has to be done on a daily basis. God has to become priority in your life. You won't fully know God for yourself if you don't spend quality time with God. You have to have appointed time. Just like you have appointed time to go get your hair done, to go get a haircut. You have a appointed time where you do certain things in life. You have an appointed time when you go to the grocery store. You have an appointed time when you do all types of things. Are you giving God his time? Are you giving him his time? Can God depend on you? You have to give God his time. He has to have priority, because if you're lacking in God, you're lacking in life. If you're lacking in God, you're lacking in life, because he's the only one who can direct you through this life. We have to allow God, people, to get inside of us, to get to the root of some of the problems and issues that we face. We have to allow him to get deep. He has to be able to pull back those layers. Those layers. Some of us have built up layers over years and built up walls inside of us and dealing with hurts, and we're dealing with pains, and we're dealing with situations from our past, and we haven't dealt with them. And so it's been many, many years, and we're still every year suffering and dealing with the same thing. And God is saying, now it's time, enough is enough. Allow me to do in you what I need to do in you so that you can move on to the next dimension in life. Are you not as far in ministry because you won't allow God to clean you up? Are you not as far in your marriage? Are you not as far in your relationship with your children? Are you not as far in your job? Are you not as far, whatever it is, because you have so much stuff blocking and hindering you in your life? And God's saying, I need to get in. I need to do surgery on you. You don't need no anesthesiologist. You don't need any of that stuff. if you would just allow me in, if you would allow me in, I will do what needs to be done. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to let him in. You have to be willing to let him do what he wants to do. You have to give up control. You've been doing it your way for this long and it's not working. It's not working. So now God is saying, move out of the way. Move out of the way. Let me do it. If you want to be healed, let me do it. My track record is good. That's what he's saying right now. My track record is good. Let him in. Allow him in to do what he needs to do in your life. Allow him in to get rid of that stuff. You know how we got stuff in our closet that we need to get rid of, but we haven't. Yeah, allow God to get in and remove some of that stuff, to get some of that stuff out. Because you can never carry or go where you need to go by carrying so much extra weight. So much extra weight. You can't do it. You can't do it. And another thing is, stop carrying other people's weight. You can't carry other people's weight. You got to let it go. You can't carry your kids' weight. You can't carry your wife's weight. You can't carry your husband's weight. You can't carry your best friend's weight. You can't carry your mama's weight. You can't carry none of that. You got to let that stuff go. Because God needs you at your full potential. And how are you going to be at your full potential if you keep on carrying other people's weight? You can't do it. God needs to get inside. Let him in. Let him in. He wants to come in. All he needs is an invitation to come in. And I guarantee you, he'll change your life for the best. He'll change your life forever. He will do what needs to be done. Well, everyone, please forgive me for my weak presentation. Today was a dialysis day, and I'm not making any excuses because my pastor asked me, was I going to teach it tonight? I said yes. Even if I would have had to have Cree sit next to me and hold me up, I was going to teach this lesson tonight because I think it was needed. I think that God is doing something new and different, and he needs to get in us to do what he needs to be done. I'm thankful to Apostle Kemp for allowing me this opportunity. And, the first week, Co-Pastor Kim came in and did what she did, and I was mad at her. And then last week, Loretta did what she did, and now I'm mad at her. And we're looking forward to next week, and I believe it's Pastor Erica who will be teaching us and then closing out with Evangelist Clark. So we thank you. I thank you all for being on the live and being able to share with us tonight. And once again, thankful to Apostle Kemp for allowing me this opportunity to speak tonight. Join us next Wednesday. Next Wednesday as the word will come forth. Once again, I'm going to thank you all. I pray that you all have a wonderful evening and that you'll get rested and prepared for tomorrow. May God bless you. May God keep you. May heaven smile upon you. And we'll see you on Sunday, bright and early on Sunday morning. God bless you.